welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me, as always, my co-host, Jose Romero.
Greetings and salutations, nerds around the world, back at it. Little vacation, life intervenes, had a good time. I was tired. I know I missed up, I'm sure, a bunch of stories that have come out, and I try to collect a few of these things. We can talk about those nuggets this week. But lo and behold, I was exhausted. I had a long flight. I went to Singapore, so the flight's like, I don't know.
It was your birthday, right?
It's a birthday week last week, so
birthday week, yeah.
So I celebrated out there. So it was
go
ahead.
Did you blow out the candles?
Did I blow out the candles? I blew out candles twice. I had a little shindig in my house, and the hotel gave me a cake and all that, so that was kind of nice of them.
Did any of your dreams come true?
They did. Initially no, but then lo and behold, sometimes the wishes take a little longer to come to fruition.
Magic has a turnover rate. It's not instantaneous. It takes a
little time. And lo and behold, I get up this morning, right? Something broke last night. I was not aware of it. Saw it this morning. I was groggy. I'm still tired. It's a long flight.
Sure.
That was like a shot of adrenaline. The spinach to Popeye feel. The super soldier serum. I felt like I ingested this morning. News that will make many people happy. Dare I say, it was like thousands of voices crying out all at once.
Enjoy.
Oh. And I have this in ice. Ready to pop this open, boys and girls, because it is time to celebrate. We're not going to bury it. We're going to start with the lead here. And that is, of course, the story broke where Kathleen Kennedy will be stepping down. This is according to her. It's a story that came out all the trades. It is not a rumor. It's confirmed. She will be stepping down finally at the end of the year. And she was supposed to step down last year.
Right.
She didn't mention that. She said that she decided not to and hold it off, because I've been alluding to the fact he was going to be gone. And that was the case, but she decided not to last minute, which is why it didn't happen. But now she's officially stepping down. She's retiring, at 70. She's 72, so it's about time. And God damn it, I couldn't be happier and more excited. It's about damn time.
Hey, listen, we both said Skeleton Crew. That's your opus, baby. Just walk away from that.
At this point, and maybe Andor too. The trailer dropped. This looks pretty good. We're not
going
to get into it, but that looked really cool. So that might be her swan song.
Okay.
It should be if it's anything like the first season. Andor.
Right.
But no, this is we've been waiting for this for a long time. This is a long time coming. A very long time. So the story is true. When the initial story was true, things get fluid. It changed, but now it's official. She'll be out. And man, that's exciting news if you're a Star Wars fan. If you like Kathleen Kennedy, God bless you. And my condolences for those two fans that may have enjoyed this iteration of Star Wars. Not many of us have.
28% of you.
Probably less than that. But hey, man, listen. This doesn't mean that all of a sudden Star Wars is going to become great again, right? Oh, it's going to be the greatest thing. We don't know yet. But at least now,
we have no
idea, right? And we'll get into it. But at least now I think there's an opportunity for it to be great, because she had 14 years, a long time. I know she was there that long. We've seen her track record. Star Wars was never going to get back on track. She failed miserably. She has some wins. I don't want to bury her there. She a Mandalorian. Rogue One was good. Andor. But
Skeleton Crew. I guess Skeleton Crew
was solid. It was solid, but but in the world where a lot of Star Wars stuff doesn't work, Skeleton Crew doesn't exactly bring the excitement back to the fans, right?
Right. Yeah.
That was the issue with that. But listen, it has a chance to be good. Now it reminds me, because football terms, because I'm a Commanders fan, and they've been dog shit for many years, and they had literally the worst owner in sports, in my opinion. So bad that he was forced to sell his team. But I kept saying, I was like, we have no chance to win. And Dan Snyder was his name. And every so often, he made a little run and one good season. And it was back to being crappy. But we never had a chance to have any sustained success, right?
Right.
Lo and behold, he sells the team. And the very first year with new management, at the full helm for the entire year, they're one game away from the Super Bowl. Coincidence? Maybe. But the point is, maybe that could happen with Star Wars. Because, man, we need Star Wars back in action. This has become mediocre, right? For what is
it's been very, as the kids call it, mid
at best, right? And this is until the last 10 years, it was the franchise in film history, right? Maybe
it kind of was.
I think Marvel may have surpassed it with the younger kids, but they're trying their darnest not to take that mantle. We'll get into that a little bit later. But um, yeah. So listen, now there's a chance. It's a chance. I super excited because I'm a big Star Wars fan more than you are, of course.
Oh, I know. I know.
So now hopefully, and listen, because we haven't gotten one in 6 years. It'll be 7 years. We got Mandalorian next year, but that's a TV show into a film. That doesn't count.
Right.
In my,
Right.
It really doesn't count. So it may be at this point at least 2 more years before we get a movie finally, which will be 9 years from the last film. Come on, man, that's way too long, and it's been a disaster. I mean, it's been a disaster. Cancellations, announcements never come to fruition. We have these other movies dangling.
You know what?
You know,
I got to tell you, I'd love a Rogue Squadron movie. You know, Top Gun in space. How do you not do that? It's right there.
I don't know. You announced it. They should have done it, right? She announced it. It should have been done, right? They wheeled their Patty Jenkins on stage with the F1 fighter jet, whatever I had behind her.
Made her get dressed in a whole X-wing pilot,
right?
I mean, nothing.
We know. I mean, that was just us. I mean, we had Kevin Feige was going to do a film, whatever. You know, recently Sean Levy, whatever. Taika Waititi.
Well, Sean Levy's apparently still on track. He's like going full steam ahead with that one.
Well, we'll see now because we don't know what's going to happen, right? And that's
right,
the thing.
Right.
New management comes in. Usually they wipe the slate clean. So I'm really hoping even the Ray movie does not move forward because that was just a bad idea from the get-go. It really was.
Well, you know, the problem is they had no idea. They just wanted to do something. They don't know what to do.
Right.
They had a good idea. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Right, which is the biggest problem under her leadership is that there was no plan, right? It didn't seem like there was a true plan, and she didn't hire the best people. When she did, it seems like how many directors and people came in and we left, and Lord and Miller halfway through the film, 80% of the film, and even Gareth Evans, Rogue One was replaced at the end of that film. Benioff and Weiss, they came in and they exited. You know, Patty Jenkins, we just mentioned. You know, we got James Mangold. Okay, he's not doing it.
Still there.
It's announced. It
Still
was
there.
2 years ago. Whatever, right?
It's in development.
It's been development for a long time. It's getting the Blade treatment here, right? So listen, this is great news. But I mean, I'll ask you. I mean, I think I know your answer is going to be right. If I ask you who should replace Kathleen Kennedy. Right.
Well, I think we all know Zack Snyder.
Oh, well. This might sound really bad, but that actually may be a better option than Kathleen Kennedy. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. Rebel Moon was dog shit. But
make Star Wars Rebel Moon again.
It's really bad. But I mean, I know this. Well, I've heard, before I get your answer, I heard Filoni being name throwing about that will never happen.
Clearly,
that was never going to happen because that's she really sided with him. So is that someone, you know? You want to wipe the slate clean here, right? Do we really want anybody that she's chosen?
I think Filoni is going to be like the Brad Winterbaum, where he's going to do just TV. Like have him do the TV side.
Or he might just. He's not. He should not be the helm of the ship. He should not be there.
No, he should be the second in command.
Not even.
I think he should second in command.
I mean,
all TV stuff, like movies and TV, separate departments.
What have he done that's really been good? If you think about it, right?
Well, I mean, honestly, I liked Ahsoka a lot, and I liked
which is fair,
Mandalorian,
but that
wasn't Mandalorian.
But that was more Jon Favreau. Let's make it clear. Right, who I think
John was the lead, and that's why I think Favreau should actually be the
that's
movie
exactly
guy.
The guy I thought.
And I think Filoni should be the TV guy because they work well with each other. And I think that's the smart. That's a smart play if you ask me.
He's great in animation, and he brings the same writing style to live action. It just doesn't work. Ahsoka didn't work. It didn't work for most people. Right, it wasn't a great show.
I like Ahsoka. It was great.
I get it. Like I said, there are fans of the show, right? But overall,
right,
that's the show. His ratings dipped every single episode until the end. It didn't work. People didn't gravitate to it. Whatever, right? Some people liked it. I get it. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not, but it's not great. It's barely good if you want to call it that. But I just don't think he's really done anything. He knows. He's an encyclopedia of Star Wars, no doubt. Right. He wants to stay as a consultant or whatever in that capacity. Sure. I mean, Jon Favreau was the obvious choice, I guess. I mean, but I don't know.
I will say, I would love. I mean, no, actually, Favreau, yeah, because I was gonna say I kind of like Damon Lindelof. I'd love to see him take over because he's got a lot of big legacy ideas, especially what he did with Watchmen. So take all those loose threads in the Star Wars universe and let him be one of the architects of where it goes, because if anyone could do it, it's the guy who did The Impossible. He made a respectable sequel to Watchmen, a thing that no one thought he could do. He
Right.
did.
And he's done other good stuff too. Just
Oh yeah,
yeah,
but
no,
I'm
no
just
doubt. Yeah,
saying.
he's a hot name. I mean, I
After
think
that, I'm like, that's the dude you want to get into.
I think
Not Abrams. Abrams, you get
no,
to
no, no,
direct
no,
and
no,
not
no.
write.
Abrams should not be running this show at all. I mean,
No.
I think Lindelof is a guy you bring in. I mean, I'd just be better off with someone we have no idea who he is. Just someone known guy who knows how to surround himself with the right people and get a plan right. He can still work with Lindelof or John Favreau, whatever. If those guys don't want the position, he can bring him in as guys he can use to write and produce other films. And he just the Kathleen Kennedy Roaster is someone who oversees what Kevin Feige did for a while so well at Marvel, right?
Right.
Oversee it, get the game plan, and get people who can execute your vision and plan. Right.
Yes.
That's the main gig of this. Like what James Gunn is attempting to do. We'll get to some DC stuff a little bit later. But I think just get some unknown guy. That's for all I care. I mean, it just whatever. It can get worse. I mean, I guess it can get worse.
It always can get worse.
It can get worse. But at least there's a new hope. Pun intended. For the fans out there, because if she ain't there, you gotta believe it can get better, right? Learn from, and I really wish now this might be a great opportunity for them to kind of start have a clean slate, right? I think the Mando movie is gonna end that run, right? Am I wrong in that?
I think there might be a little bit more afterwards, one more project.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not maybe that with Ahsoka, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's what I thought I heard before. But whatever. But start clean and this is now a great opportunity to let's move away from Skywalker and the 18 people in this large galaxy that we always referencing or following. It's just we can finally break away. Either go back to the Knights of the Old Republic, which is what the Mango potentially was going to be or is, whatever.
I feel like the Acolyte kind of like muddied that.
It may have. So it's just start 500 years in the future and just restart this whole damn thing. It's a great time to do it. I think it's time to move forward, right?
Grogu's School of Jedis. That's where you start from.
Even that. Get away from even Grogu. I mean,
I don't know.
It's like you start fresh. If I'm a new guy coming in, you want to get your own people, want to get your own ideas. You're not going to rely on the ideas of someone who did not succeed, despite the fact that some stuff did. Right, it's still a stench. Like when James Gunn got there, who did he get rid of? He got rid of almost everybody.
But here's the thing: Star Wars has always been about the obscure character's story going bigger. That's always the way it's been. Mm-hmm. Like everything that think about the whole reason we have a Boba Fett is like that guy looks cool, boom, and you blow him up and you make him a whole thing. So Grogu has outlived everybody. But because he's outlived everybody, he actually has a personality and a character. And so we get to see him clean. And he has the loosest connection with all that.
I doubt they'll do that. I really do. I think if someone...
To me, that's how you do a fresh start while blowing everything, while still mildly acknowledging everything else. Grogu, he's 200 years old, and he's founded his own Jedi school, which is part Jedi, part Mandalorian. And it makes it kind of awesome. And so that's the way you do it.
Yeah, if Filoni writes it, probably, so that's not going to happen. But listen, but it's great. This is what we've been waiting for. 14, I don't know how these guys at Disney let her stay along. I really don't. I don't understand it. I never got it.
They had to make sure all the photos she had were destroyed.
That's what I'm saying. She had something with somebody, because that's the only explanation I have, because I don't get it. Because Star Wars became DC. Is that fair to say?
It was very close.
Right, or close to, right? Close. I mean, let's call it what it is, right? And which is back, because Star Wars was way up there.
Star Wars was one of the pinnacles of franchise.
It was the franchise, right?
Even
for years.
Even the prequels didn't muddy the water as much.
It didn't. The one where but there is the younger generation that are more attached to it, and that's fine, right?
Which, by the way, just as a quick side note. Because of the world we live in now, Revenge of the Sith is way creepier than I remember.
That's fair. But you're right. It didn't. Like Star Wars, it still maintained. Because listen, when Force Awakens came out, the hunger was there. That movie made bonkers money.
That's why it destroyed. There was such a ferocious appetite.
Saying, yeah.
And the movie did what it was, and we've talked about this. Sure. The problem with that movie is that it made a bunch of promises it never kept.
Right,
and that's the problem.
And that was on Kathleen Kennedy. That was purely on her.
That's
solely
on her.
But you're right. But that showed the hunger. I mean, anybody, you and I could have produced it, would have made the same amount of money because hey, would you? We just want to go see it. They were dying
Do
for
you
their Star Wars
think?
films. It was crazy.
Do you think in a way that's why they've been staying away from the movies? Is they're trying to backlog a hunger in a kind of way, like a hunger to be in movies.
I
So when they
just
do something and it's at least good, it'll double down. They're like, dude, you got to see this. No, it's actually good. Like it's almost
I
like a
think if Rise of Skywalker, the other sequels, passports were really well received and great and all that, I think they could have waited and built that hunger up. But when you shit the bed like that, you kind of want to course correct quickly, right? Because that stench remained, and it remains
yeah,
now, right?
yeah.
Even the Ray film, I guarantee you read comments, people are divided on the Ray thing, right? Because it didn't work. So I would assume they were just okay. Let's just get let's get a good Star Wars film and then the focus of TV, which is it's not Star Wars is films, it's movies,
Always been,
always
always been.
been right, and they were doing more TV than films. That's unacceptable. It really is. It just it's 6 7 years.
TVs were like, oh look, the TV show should always be like, oh look, they're doing TV, not like another TV.
Right.
It should be a surprise, like, oh look, TV
Do
show.
a show
Right.
or every so often a special like we talked about Marvel that they should be doing.
Yeah.
And just focus on the film. That's what Star Wars is. It's a movie. It's a cinematic experience. The whole point, and
Yeah.
it doesn't work on TV. Not at all. It seems cheap, and I like the whole volume thing is cool to a certain degree, but it is noticeable how cheap it is at the same time.
The more you rely on it, the cheaper it looks.
Exactly, and it was
Yes.
okay for the Mandalorian season 1, season 2, and
Right.
after a while it's like okay, it's an overuse, right? It was a cheap
Yeah.
way, a easier way to get special effects. If
Yeah.
it doesn't. That's not
If you're
Star Wars.
doing like a very simple story, it's fantastic.
Sure.
When you're doing a very intricate, scenery heavy scene,
It
then it's like, oh, I
Yeah,
could see the thing.
exactly. And Star Wars
Yeah.
is it's it relies on the scenery and the
Yeah.
locations and creatures. It's mostly
It
CGI.
is
Right?
literal world building on a
Yeah,
visual scale all the
absolutely,
time.
absolutely. So good riddance. End the year. Look, she's gonna end strong in Andor too. I got a good feeling about that, and that's great, right? I have her go on a high note. Fine, I don't care.
Sure.
Fine.
Listen,
Just have her go.
lady,
Peace.
you got skeleton crew. Don't you don't need a second high five. Just go.
Just go. Just go. Yeah, it just doesn't work. So I mean, I'm curious to see when they announce this new hiring. I don't know if they're gonna wait till after she officially steps down in the year. I would assume before we'll hear something.
I would say at least 3 months before.
Right, at least
kind of like prep the
something.
transition. You know what I mean?
Something, and I think by the beginning of the year we'll have an announcement, maybe a slate of what's coming out. And I really
That would be awesome.
I
That
don't
would be
think
awesome.
it's gonna be Ray. I think that's gonna get scrapped. I really do. It doesn't make sense to do it now. I get it with her because that's her baby. Fine.
Right.
I can understand it. Right. Misguided, but I get it. Someone else is gonna do that. No way. I want to start fresh and I'm gonna use that movie. I don't think so. I don't think so. They got to come out strong. They do. They need the fans back. I don't think Ray is the way to go. So let's see. But that's awesome. At least listen, it's a win. We're taking it for now. Let's see what else happens. And speaking of taking a win, or another studio that did not take a win, and that's Marvel. Let's talk a little Captain America, which in past we haven't talked about. I know you saw it with your kids and all that.
Saw it with my kids, yeah.
And
yeah.
this, had an okay opening weekend, I guess, but it
A fairly solid. Not great.
It wasn't great.
It was
right?
solid.
It
Right.
blew up the third largest decrease in the MCU movie the second weekend.
Yeah.
That says it all, right? And the week of no competition other than Monkey. Yeah, that says it all. I didn't get a chance to see it, so but
I saw it.
I've heard a lot about it, and I haven't heard his
I'll-
dog shit. I get your opinion. I haven't heard his bad,
Right.
but I heard
I will give you my two reviews. I'll give you my honest nerd review as an adult man. And I'm gonna give you the review that my 15-year-old daughter gave me,
Okay.
and I'll explain my overall position. Okay.
Fair enough.
The movie did a really good job not looking like it was done over 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
But just like any seamstress, every once in a while you're like, well, that's a weird kind of thread going over here. How did that happen? So there's a little bit of that. I'd say maybe if I'm being a general, maybe 12% of the movie is stuff we were like, that was clearly not there before, and they just put that there, and that's fine. I acknowledge it. That being said, Was the movie bad? No. The movie was a little better than mid, really. And I'll
Okay.
tell you why I feel this way. Number one, you have Anthony Mackie's Captain America. Captain America with no super soldier serum. I get it. So he's doing some pretty cool stuff with the shield and the wings. Dope. I'm into it. But when he's fighting, I think they made a conscious choice to like bring down his fighting level to show that he's not a super soldier.
Okay. Interesting.
And the problem with that is those kinds of fights are visually boring.
I heard. See, yeah, I've heard that from other people. Like the
But
hand to hand combat was very
but
sluggish.
but it's only his hand to hand combat.
Right. Right.
Because the girl who's supposed to be Sabra, they made into a Black Widow, part of the reshoots and adjustments.
I'm sure.
Because she was the Israeli mutant super soldier, and they had to change it to a Black Widow. Her fight scenes are awesome. She's doing some Black Widow stuff. You're like, that's cool. And I'm like, why aren't you fighting like her? You're Captain America. You're not the Falcon anymore. You got to fight on a Captain America.
Fair.
Like, you should be doing some pretty impressive stuff.
Fair.
You know? And I think that was the part that disappointed me the most, is that everyone else's fight scenes were great. And even Sam Wilson's, Anthony Mackie's fight scenes when he's flying and using the suit, it's cool. But when it comes down to his hand in hand, it was a little boring. And it's a bit of a bummer. Then you had the issue of they were making this really cool conspiracy story that they wanted to build on. I'm like, I'm here for this. Let's do it. But then just when it started getting interesting, they're like, instead of keeping your interest, let's just super simplify it so we can move on. I'm like, don't make it easier. Like, you have this kind of cool idea. Stick with it. Like, it's almost like if you're about to tell a really good satirical joke and it ends on a fart. You're like, no, like, keep going with the satire. Like, I want to be challenged. And so that's what my main problem with the movie was. And then there were times where they just did things that didn't make sense. Like, there's a scene in the movie, spoiler, where Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie is fighting Giancarlo Esposito.
Okay.
He gets stabbed in the shoulder with a knife. He gets hit in the gut with like a little axe thing and just keeps on going. I'm like, you don't have the super soldier serum.
That's true. Wow.
So,
that would have bothered me.
So I'm like, what is going on? And they try to cover up like, oh, I guess your clothes was made out of Kevlar mesh. I'm like, no, because I saw how deep that stuff was. No.
Doesn't he have like doesn't that suit like what is it, the Wakandan armor, whatever?
But he was wearing a sweater and jeans. It wasn't even the suit.
I got you. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, gotcha.
If he had the suit, like there's a scene in the movie where he's got the Captain America suit and he gets stabbed in his chest and he takes it off. I'm like, yeah, that armor probably took most of it.
Okay, fair.
So just a little tip got in. So I'm like, that's fine. Okay. But when he was in a sweater, when he was in a sweater, and he's still like, no problem. And he's literally, it's sticking in him. And he's still, I'm like, no. Either you got the super soldier serum or you don't. No. But I will say, this movie, when it came to making Harrison Ford the Red Hulk, in terms of body horror, it was pretty cool. And I know it was pretty good because the scariest scene in the movie is when Harrison Ford turns back into Harrison Ford and he's without a shirt. Oh my God, gross. So gross and scary. I was like, put the red on him. Like, wow. But that was another thing too. You introduced the idea that Thunderbolt Ross has an estranged relationship with his daughter, right?
Oh, that's right. She was in it, right? Liv Tyler. Yeah.
She was. She shows up at the end. She even has a whole voice conversation over the phone. So before the final fight, they established that he's like, hey, I'm trying to reach out to you. I'm trying to rekindle our father-daughter relationship. I'm trying to be a better man. Like, they established that. It's subtle, but it's there. And the big fight is Sam Wilson, Captain America, in the vibranium armor, fighting Red Hulk, right? Sam Wilson talks him down. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You're a counselor. You know how to reach people. But wouldn't it have been better if he tried to talk him down and he was reaching him and then, like, somebody shoots at him, he rages out, smacks Sam and is about to kill him, and that's when his daughter shows up and she says, "Dad, no." And that's when it's like, oh, I can't. And then Captain America's like, if you can't do it for me, do it for her. And, like double down on like you're better than this, and then have him transform back. That would have been better. And so it's the kind of stuff where like you were so close to nailing it, and then you decided, I'll put it this way. This is a scene that made me realize they were like, we're just gonna get this over with because we've been here for too long and we spent too much. When Harrison Ford is starting to Hulk down from Red Hulk into Harrison Ford, guess how they show the transformation?
When he was back down?
When he's turning back down, when like Sam Wilson, Captain America's talked the Red Hulk down, and he decides to turn back into Harrison Ford, Thunderbolt Ross. Guess how they guess how they show that scene?
I mean, I would assume CGI would have to be involved, but
Shadows.
oh, you didn't even show it like
they did it in shadows.
Oh my god. Okay.
So when he's turning into the Hulk, you see it.
Right, yeah.
But when he's Z-powering, they did that thing in She-Hulk where they're like, we don't have the budget.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then he just, yeah.
I'm literally thinking unless he's talking to Kevin, transform off camera. Yeah. So
you see a lot with like the off camera and the next scene or something, or people can morph and all that's a good way to say
exactly.
Yeah.
So they did the shadows thing, and I was like, oh, you spent so much money. You were so over budget.
I was like, damn it, what do we do here? Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. And like, let's wrap it up. We've been here for too long. Go. And then after all that, Sam Wilson goes to visit Thunderbolt Ross in the raft. I'm like, cool, a little bookend. And he goes there and he's like kind of stern, like, I'm just here to talk to you. And I believe that, if we don't give people chances to make up for their mistakes, then we're not doing it right. I was like, that's cool. And then he goes, and as an old soldier, I'll make sure you're okay. I'm like, why the fuck are you smiling? This guy destroyed the White House, and he tried to frame you and cause a war because of a whole other thing that it wasn't really his plan, but it was. And so I'm like, you can't like be disciplining him and then be smiling at him and then be stern again. I'm like, no, like choose a feeling. And that's what I'm saying. It's those little scenes you're like, oh, I feel like that was refilmed there, and they put that thing over here. There's a beautiful scene where Bucky shows up, little guest appearance, cool. Leading up to they seeded the Congressman Bucky.
Oh,
aspect.
right, oh God, yeah.
And so here's the thing: they're having a really serious talk, and Bucky says a line that I was like, that's a great line. He goes, "Captain America inspired us, but you give us something to aspire to."
Okay.
And I was like, what a great line. And if they just would have ended it there, it would have been dope. And then out of nowhere, Anthony Mackie goes, did your speechwriters write that? I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. And then they riffed for 45 seconds on the speechwriter bit. I'm like, too long. Leave it alone. There's no reason. We don't need all the jokes. All Bucky had to do was go a little bit. That's all he needed to do.
Right. That's fair. Yeah.
Did it for 45 seconds. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're destroying your own. Once again, beautiful satire and then a fart joke. And it's like, no. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like to say this movie is in the space between C+ and B- is its most respectable. As an adult male, as a comic book nerd, not hating on it, just being real with it. That all being said, my daughter is 15 years old. And my daughter, after the movie, looks at me and she goes, Dad, you raised me on comic books. My entire sense of morality is coded in the morality of superheroes. I have to tell you, I love this movie. I was like, really? She goes, yeah, because this Captain America believes in optimism where no one else does. He keeps giving people second chances because he believes in them, and that his belief in them makes them try harder. I love this movie. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, we are talking about superheroes. It's the kind of stuff we love as kids. And for her, who's in the thick of kid teenager going, this movie speaks to me, I'm like, I can't hate it. To me, B plus.
Hey, listen, it's like 6 people like this, so that she was one of them. So that's good.
Like I said,
Uh,
it was better than mid, but not by much. But because I'm not seeing it through a kid's eyes, which is sometimes some of these movies you kind of got to take yourself out of it a little bit. I'm like,
well, it
okay,
depends on the movie, but yeah,
solid
yeah, it
B,
depends on the
solid
movie.
B. But here's the problem: superhero movies cannot afford to be Bs.
Well, not Marvel at this point, and well, DC can't either. That's a different story. But
Right.
well, what do you say,
I
right?
think I think
We
you
say
got to be A minus, A B
I
plus, A minus
I
is the minimum you
think
could do.
Marvel needs to hit because listen, it's like I said, Deadpool doesn't count, and I said that from the beginning, right? Just it's his own
Right.
thing and whatever. But
But we also said that this movie it was the last of the old regime choices, and they had to just get it out. It can't. This does not reflect what they're doing. It's something they had to take it on the chin just
of
to get out of
course,
the way.
but they were in a position to allow that to happen, right? Because they got to stink on Marvel's got to
They
stink on
should
it,
have
right?
never put him in a position to allow this to happen, but they
Exactly,
got put in that position. But they never should
of
have been
course,
in it.
but they allowed it, and now this film comes
Right.
out, and it's like it just adds to the, and it hurts them, right? Box office speaks for itself, and it has in this
Yeah.
film. I don't think Thunderbolts is going to do well. It could be a good movie. We'll wait and see.
I think the Thunderbolts are going to do better than expected, but I think Fantastic Four is going to be the we're
That's what
back.
I've been saying. It really hinges on. Thunderbolts is going to be inconsequential at the end of the day. I don't see it going anywhere. Honestly,
I think Thunderbolts is going to wash out any negative conception of Captain America and put us back on
hopefully,
zero.
hopefully. My
Right,
concern
hopefully.
is just, it seems like it makes you fun. It's jokey.
I mean,
It's
listen,
classic Marvel at its worst and it's like 80% jokes, 20% something
right.
interesting, right? And I'm afraid Thunderbolts is heading down that path.
Well, I'll tell you this:
Potential.
the guy who created the Century, Paul Jenkins, just revealed in an interview that he was brought in to consult on the script and all the aspects involving the Century and the Void. That makes me excited, and that gives me a little bit of hope that because the original Century series was so good, I'm like, oh, if they are at least if they listen to what he's putting in there, the minute the century of it all becomes clear and what's going on, this has a potential to be a really interesting
I
movie.
hope so. It's one of the ones like I don't think this one matters. It could be great, but I think it's Fantastic Four is the only one that really matters.
Right.
Let's be honest,
That's the one
right?
that matters.
Yeah,
Right.
because if Thunderbolts is great, fine. We've seen best movie in 10 years. Fair enough. If Fantastic Four sucks, then it's all for nothing, right?
Yeah. It's all
right.
washed. Yeah.
If Thunderbolts sucks, and this is a good movie, that's all that matters, right?
Right.
So it's just kind of stuck in the middle. It's kind of in no man's land. So whatever. But Fantastic Four is the one we're hoping. That movie needs to be an A+. Am I wrong?
No. I mean, no.
It can be a B. It can be that.
It can allow itself to be an A. It needs to be an A+.
Okay, fair
but
enough.
it can allow itself to be an A.
That's fine.
But it needs to be an A+.
It's what I'm saying. You have to come out. It can't afford to have these movie. It can't be Skeleton Crew 3 times in a row.
No.
You
Right.
need to bang it out, particularly leading into we got Avengers starting
Now-
filming in April. You gotta set this up some point.
That being said, that's all being said. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was great.
That was really cool.
Super
I forgot I saw it on the plane. Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah, and they're really well. That thing set up in that. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, for sure.
And the reviews for the first 2 episodes of Daredevil came out, and it's been nothing but like solid.
That was actually
A's.
the next thing I was going to bring up. So I'm glad you.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, because I did have like I know you're a Daredevil guy, and yeah, you're right. It got some really good reviews. I mean, for whatever that's worth, because we've seen this before with it's the greatest thing ever, and it comes out and it's even the Last Acolyte got really good reviews initially, right? Let's be fair, and look what happened with that. So, but for whatever it's worth,
I think, right. I always say the first episode of Acolyte was like, this could be interesting. Let's see what happens. This is a different kind of review. This is like they're coming out of the gate.
They're really good. They're saying it's really good. The only thing that was kind of interesting was a couple of our review, a couple of the tweets where they mentioned episodic. So, okay, so it's not going to be a continual storyline from what.
Well, I think it's going to be. It's not going to follow all the way through. Like they'll set up something, then they can do like a general episode, and then bring back like
I'm kind of curious. I think the first episode is going to be one story. I'm kind of curious beyond that what happens. Right, because the only review too. So if it's episodic, or maybe not going to set episodic, so maybe both of them are separate. So that's interesting.
I
I don't know
think
how
it's
that's
going
going
to
to
be
play
something
out.
where
Yeah.
it's they're not going to follow. They'll set up something and then take a break, let that storyline breathe, and then double back into it. You know what
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean?
kind of curious how they pull that off as the show progresses, right? They got
Right.
the schedules coming out. I think it's two, then it's 3 episodes, release one a week, and then it's 2 episodes. It's interesting.
Oh, so it's kind of do it with Friendly Neighbor Spider-Man, which is like three at
They're
a
doing
time, two at a time,
no,
three at
no,
a
they're
time.
doing a two at a time initially. Then it's one, and then it's two. It's kind of
Okay.
up to episode 8, and after that they didn't say. So I don't know what's gonna happen beyond
Well, it's
that.
only 9 episodes, so
Oh,
it's
so then I guess one at the end. Then I guess some of that. Yeah. So it was. Is it
okay.
or was it 2-1-1-2? Maybe, and that's what it was. It's two.
Probably two, one,
It's
one,
two
two.
one one two.
Probably
Yeah, there you go. And
right.
and then they haven't released a schedule beyond that. But it's kind of weird to do two like that. Whatever. I don't know. That's
Well,
interesting.
Jose, you've seen the number of stuff they got to get through. They have no time to overlap. It's pow,
I
pow,
guess they got to
pow.
run. Whatever. That's
Yeah,
fine. The run times I heard were like 40 some minutes, so that's positive as well.
that's
Right.
great.
That's
Yeah,
great. Right. I
solid.
mean, let's see how the credits go. See how long the credits are before we start. 15 minutes really means like 40 in Marvel time, right? That's we've seen it consistently, even with Star
Hey,
Wars.
listen, Friendly Neighborhood was like a solid 25. That's pretty
No,
great.
that's
Like
good. But
consistent
animated,
25
that's
each
what you
one.
want, right? So, but
Yeah.
either way, but no, but yeah. So I'm excited. Yeah, I think you're gonna be excited. It just might be legit. I hope it is.
This is like no offense for Marvel Comics right now, but like the Daredevil run that's going right now, it's not really speaking to me. I
Ah,
want my
okay,
Daredevil like this, and this is what I've
gotcha.
been waiting for. I'm like, so urban gritty. Like there's a scene in the trailer that gets me every time where Matt in like one of the ski masks, he takes off one of the criminals from the bank robbery. He does this like crazy barrel roll flip and breaks a dude's leg. I'm like, that looks
No, I heard
awesome.
the
I
fighting
want
is
that.
really cool. Yeah, I heard it's very brutal and all that.
Yeah.
Everyone kept saying that, right? Even the ones that didn't think the show was great really praised that part of it.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm excited. March is running on the. It was really around the corner. It's like next week now.
It's like next week.
It is next week then, right? And
It's next week.
Jesus, I've been out of it. So yeah, so we're gonna okay. Well, there you go. So we're gonna get this very soon. So we'll provide our opinions upon that.
Oh, very much
But
so.
I think it's really good. All from what it sounds like, I think we're gonna both gonna be happy with what we're gonna get here.
Yeah,
So
I think
I
so.
think that
And I feel
makes me
like
very happy.
I feel like if the Marvel TV keeps stepping up the game and doing just reliably good stuff, it will help massage any kind of hiccups along the way going towards Fantastic Four. And I feel like if this Daredevil series sticks to landing, it shows that this creative pivot they've done, this is the first thing they're doing that really reflects their creative pivot. And so if this series sticks to landing, it makes me more excited about Fantastic Four.
No, yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that. Absolutely. The only bad news out of this was I guess they confirmed that Matt Murdock and Charlie Cox said he will not be in Avengers. So whatever.
That's
Uh,
not true.
he came out and said like I know there was an article about that the other day.
That dude's lying because they have a
He
photo of him training in the gym and
he
Andrew Garfield said he wasn't
look.
in Spider-Man.
I get it.
Liars.
That's very possible.
Liars.
Could be all liars,
Liars.
but I'm just going by what they said and he said. For whatever that's worth, take it with a grain of salt, right? This, hey, whatever. Everyone says that the movie's the greatest thing, the show's the greatest. I get it. I'm not in this. I understand. I'm just saying what he said, right? I'm not sure I believe it, but that's what he said. A couple of small nuggets if we move on to the last thing here, but obviously sticking with Marvel, Moon Knight news, right? I guess you sent me a thing on that. I guess they're not doing a season 2, right?
That's
Bit
bit of a
That's
heartbreaker.
a kind of a bummer for you. I can take it or leave it. I liked it, but I don't think it was great. Oh my god, I can season 2. But I would like to see them try and make it a better show, right?
Yeah.
I think you too, and you like Moon Knight, so do I.
Yeah.
So it's not. I guess there's no season 2, so that's disappointing. But he's gonna be involved, I guess, in future plans and
It's probably
some
going to be a
capacity.
Midnight Suns movie. That's what they're going to do.
That was exactly
Right.
what I was gonna say. I mean, I haven't announced anything on that yet officially, but that will make sense. I guess I don't know where else he fits in this world, right?
Maybe in Secret Wars, I can see maybe something
Yeah,
there.
he might pop up little quick, something really quick. I could see that, but in terms of having a big role in a movie or whatever, well, obviously being a movie,
Yeah.
I that's the only thing. Maybe Blade, but okay, um, whatever. So that's interesting. And then you mentioned something about the comics too. Nice,
Oh
interesting
yeah.
little
So
tidbit there.
last week they just announced at the retailers convention for the first time in almost 30
Damn, it's
years.
a long time. Okay.
I know, 1986 was the last time this happened. Marvel and DC are officially doing a team of comic book. They're doing two: Marvel /DC, and then DC /Marvel. both one shots. Both of them coming out this year. Have
Okay.
not
Okay.
announced any creative team, but because
Oh,
they're
okay.
scheduled to come out this year, it's already
Well,
done.
it's already
It's
done.
already
Right.
hush
Yeah,
hush.
about to say, you haven't announced it, but it's they're not.
Yeah, if they announce the books are coming out this
Yeah,
year, the books
it's
are
done.
done.
The book, yeah, exactly, or
But
just about.
this
Yeah.
is a crazy part. Like in the world of all the leaks that we
Well,
always get
true.
all the time,
True.
no one, it was
No.
on nobody's radar
Interesting.
that this year they just re-released the original Marvel versus DC from 1996 with the Amalgam Universe
Ah,
as these
okay.
giant omnibuses. And so, sort of like the playful rumor on the interwebs is that they maybe Marvel and DC were treating it like a Kickstarter. Like if we sell this number of these omnibuses, we'll kick in this goal of doing this. So whatever the case is, money it was made, and now they're getting all the money on the table and just collecting it. That's what they're doing. So I don't know if it's going to be a battle of. I don't know if it's going to be like straight up team ups, but
Ah.
it makes sense with this year being this. You should totally do a Fantastic Four Superman team up like that.
I
Just
think
screams like
team ups work better. I think than a
what
versus kind
happened?
of like a team up worked better for me
Right,
than
because they've already done verses. They did
right.
the
They did
verses
already,
in
and yeah,
'96.
it's team up like someone gonna enter someone's world. Batman with whoever, whatever. Batman
Yeah,
Moon Knight. Or, I don't know what we speaking of Moon Knight. Um,
Batman Daredevil. We've been
but
waiting for a
Batman
Batman
Daredevil,
like a good Batman
right? That,
Daredevil.
yeah,
That'd be dope.
how cool would that be, right? I mean, so
Yeah.
I would prefer something like that. I mean, God, I'd be so nice to see it in the film, but whatever. Um,
Baby steps, man. Remember, Marvel owns Hulu, but Hulu also owns like 13% of Warner Brothers or something like that. So technically,
I
Disney owns
know.
a little bit of DC.
I mean, that's
It's
kind of
it's
the
all over the
dream,
place,
but
man.
that we won't. I mean, I'm not saying that now. We will see that. Well, we could see that in our lifetime, but it's gonna be a while. It's
It's
gonna
gonna
be
be
a
a
while.
while.
It's gonna be a while.
Probably
I
another.
think both houses need to get in order before we start
Yeah,
thinking that nonsense.
sure.
Let's get in order here. Let's get consistency on both sides and maintain it for a little bit, and then we can talk about something. Because that would be
Look,
the dream. That would be
oh, dude,
massive, right?
I'm 46. If I have to wait until 66 to watch Marvel and DC in a movie, I'm down.
That's
I'll
fine.
wait.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, James Gunn mentioned it kind of playfully, but I mean, yeah, it's not anytime soon, and I don't want to see anytime soon because again,
right. Take your time,
take
get
your
your house
time.
going, like you said.
Exactly.
Hit
And
your benchmarks. Figure out the whole X-Men of it
yeah,
all. Do all that, and
exactly. And
then
then
right.
exactly, DC and get your stuff in order, and then we talk about other stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the topic of DC. Let's stay with them to end the show. If you had James Gunn and Peter Safran doing a little Q&A or whatever it was, or some presentation or something, right? And they dropped
Sure.
a lot of stuff about DC, what's coming. A lot of stuff we kind of knew already. We talked about Superman, I get it, and the new trailer's coming out soon. James Gunn is involved in creating that trailer as well. Talked about Peacemaker, which is finished already, so that's dropping.
Nice.
Focusing,
Nice.
niggas gonna focus a lot more on, of course, the Peacemaker, the John Cena character, more of a character story. Great, love to hear that. Of
All right.
course, it talked about Supergirl's more than halfway done already in filming. That's
Nice.
good. Was it the Green Lantern looks promising for what James Gunn said. What's he gonna say? It sucks, so whatever.
Ooh.
I don't know. I
Not
don't know,
agree with
guys.
this.
Not my bag. He said the two projects was the animated one, the other animated one, the group, the team up one.
Creature Commandos?
No, there's another one. Oh man, I forgot the name, but it was that and Amanda Waller. So I can find it real quick. Amanda Waller is the other show that they have mentioned before.
Yeah, I originally thought Amanda Waller would come out before Peacemaker season 2, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, but think that those are the two projects which were not exactly the Authority. There you go.
Oh, but that's not animated. That's live
That's
action.
live action. Okay, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
My bad. So that one's also those are the two projects that are kind of put on hold because they're really stressing getting the scripts right before they do anything. You know, they brought in the whole Batman. You know, we know Pattinson won't not be involved in DCU as far as we knew that already. So kidding.
Right.
And they haven't gotten a full script for that movie yet. I don't know how the movie's coming out next year, whatever they said it was. But the one thing that really stood out, and this is the part I want to focus on, because now their goal, not in the next 2 or 3 years, but I guess when they get the ship in order, or the house in order, their goal is to have 7 projects a year. About 3 films, one of which being animated, I guess from what they said, and then 4 shows, right, along with the 2 films.
Which is a lot.
That's a lot, right? I mean, you and I both complain about Marvel doing too much.
Right.
I don't know if that's really a goal they should have, right? That's too much, man. They want to do
we,
two
we
movies,
we've
two
often
shows,
said
right?
the number, the magic number is five. It should be three, two of something.
That's
Either
fine.
three movies, two TV shows,
That
or two
works.
TV shows,
Right,
three movies.
exactly.
I,
You want to do one animated, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Just the number being five, whatever,
the
animated,
five
yeah.
five is the magic number.
Right. I agree. I think seven's a bit much, man. 'Cause I really don't want to bite off more they can chew here.
Yeah,
That worries me because we really don't know what the DCU is gonna look like. We think we know. We will soon enough. Man, talk about needing an A+ movie. My God, they need the begging for an A+ movie. That
yeah.
they can ill afford it, and even an A movie, I don't think gets it done, man. It needs to be A+. Am I wrong?
It's got. Well, here's the
I
thing.
mean,
I feel. I want to say it needs to be A+, but I think an A will get it done because if you show you're competent in your Superman, you can only get better. So you could just do an A movie
I guess
and
it really,
still hit it.
yeah, it really depends on what people are at. 'Cause, this movie's already getting hate, which we know already. So it's like, what if you give an A? You're giving people a reason to hate. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You don't want that. You want everyone to be on board, right? The whole community. Oh, okay, he did it. We were wrong, right? James Gunn is the
I mean, that's the
man.
goal.
That's the goal, right? And all of a sudden, now we can't wait to see Supergirl or what else comes up down the pipeline, Peacemaker, etc. It needs to be an A. So I don't know. But the other thing I found interesting too, because they talked about Clayface. And they mentioned
Right.
that was never in the plans because obviously we knew that because they never mentioned it. It was never mentioned, but they got a good idea from I'm like, what is his name? Oh, with all the guy who's doing it, all these horror shows and all that. The House on Haunted
Oh
Hill.
yes.
Oh my
The
God, what's
guy
his
the guy
name?
did a Midnight Mass too.
Yes, yes. Oh man. God, what is his name, dude? That's good.
Is it Michael?
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. Midnight Man. I'm trying to find it. Um,
I want to say Walter Goggins, but that's not it. But it's kind of like it.
no, director. Here we go. Flanagan. Thank you. God, Mike
Michael
Flanagan.
Flanagan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Who's good at the horror
See,
stuff, right?
Flanagan, Goggins
Yeah,
is
he's
kind of
really
like the
thing,
same.
right? It's like
Yeah.
some white guy. But he gave him a great pitch, and it's like, you know what? Let's go for it. So I do like that, and they talk about doing stuff like that where if they hear stuff that works, like Swamp Thing is another thing that was brought up, which wasn't their idea, was more James Mangold, right?
Right.
Who they don't know if he's on board yet. They mentioned if he wants to do it, he can. Whatever that means, I don't know. But that's cool because that's something that Marvel has not done, right? They're kind of
Right.
stuck to that, and it's cool. It's nice to have. Okay, they're open to this.
A little flexibility.
Right,
Yeah.
thank you. Right, someone comes like, hey, listen, I got this. It's not part of DCU, but I kind of do this, and well, if they're allowing it, that means they really like the idea.
Let me ask you a
presented,
question.
Right?
Do you think the 7 projects a year is like this is our maximum output, but doesn't mean we're gonna do it all the time? So if they hear something they like, they can track it, but it doesn't mess up their overall scheduling. You think that's what he kind of was talking
It's
about?
possible. I just think they're keeping the options open in terms of okay, they may have a plan where with 7. I mean, the 7 or whatever could include a movie, like that, right? On elsewhere, right? Whatever.
Exactly.
Or just the goal they can do 6 and be fine with it. But I mean, aiming for 7 is a bit high. Just aiming for that is high.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's high.
So I think the idea of like, let's say our magic number is also 5, but we have 2 slots open.
Sure.
So if we just come across a project that's dope and we think about, put it in the slot.
That's very possible. I'm sure that's part of it, right? I mean, I'm assuming that because, like I said, it's going to be a few years before we get to that point because they know they're not ready for that. We all know that. We all know.
And just like you said, they purposely paused the Authority and Amanda Waller show so they can make a commitment and go, actually, no. So it doesn't put them in a commitment.
Exactly.
It just puts them on a goal, right?
Because they're not, Brave and the Bold was announced. We haven't heard much from. They said that's still ongoing or whatever. I'm sure it is.
Sure.
But I like the fact that he's taking this time to say, okay, we made an announcement, but they're not just pumping these movies out because they announced it, right?
Right.
Let's get the script right. Let's see what happens, and now we'll make it once everything looks the way they want it to, right? Up to snuff to their standards. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? Taking this other stories and pitches from other directors or whatever. I think that's great. I think that's really cool because we're going to see a lot of more diversity within the films in that world, right? That we don't get like with Marvel, which I always been saying. We knew, even you and I talked about, do a special, right? That just why not do that instead of regular TV shows? Do a special once, twice a year and leave it at that, right? It doesn't inconsequential to the big picture, but it's still very entertaining, super cool. Why not? I mean, it can work. Joker proved it can work, right?
Right.
Not the second one, but the first one really worked. But Clayface, they loved that. Obviously, there's something that Flanagan gave him that he's like, okay, let's do it, and that's cool. It's not part of the plan, but you know what? Fuck it, let's bring it on. So
That is pretty
that.
awesome.
I
I
like
like
that.
that. Yeah.
So that's a good thing for them. So we'll see. I mean, none of this matters. The Superman sucks. I mean, let's be honest. Clayface, who cares? Supergirl, don't give a shit. It's Superman. It needs to be good. I mean, that's gonna be that's the movie this year. It really is.
It's yeah.
And like I said, you're not talking about how the trailer. People are hating on the trailer. Like, just relax. Can we just?
Yeah.
Can we wait?
Just,
can we wait?
I was really surprised that everyone's mad about how his face kind of looked, but no one's talking about how cool that camera angle shot was. Like, that shot is awesome. Why are we so focused on the face?
People, they're gonna. It's a way that people be finding reasons to hate. That's why if it's an A+, don't give them a reason to hate. You really don't. I don't think an A is gonna get it done. I really don't. In the grand scheme of things, I'll be happy with an A for my own personal edification. But in terms of seeing DC grow and do what it's supposed to do, it needs to be A+, man.
No,
and maybe it is, and hopefully it is. Dude. I don't know.
I agree with you, but I'm also like being like, listen, A+ movies are lightning in a bottle.
Oh, no, hard. No question.
But you could set out to do a competent A movie and nail it.
Oh yeah.
So
for me, I'm happy with
if this movie's an A, it's a success.
I would. For me, yes. And just speaking, if I was part of DC world, whatever, not the business side, you're thinking we need A+ here. We need to come out guns blazing. No pun intended with gun. This is the one. This is James Gunn's baby. This is his thing. It's his show. He needs to come out and prove it. I can get this done. Right? If this is a B movie, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
It's a disaster. In the biggest way you can. That would be, oh my God, it would be the worst thing ever. It really would. DC needs a win.
It really does.
Badly.
It really does.
It's, it just, there's no way around it. It's just no way around it. So Marvel can afford some of this million shit. Although it's taking its toll.
Yeah.
And eventually it will take its toll. But, again, if Fantastic Four is good, nobody cares.
Right. It changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. Right,
it really does. So, which is why they need a good win for Fantastic Four. But if that's a B, they're going to be okay for the most part. Yeah. We still got Avengers coming out. So, that's going to draw the crowds. Let's call it what it is. But yeah, so let's see, man. So listen, DC's got stuff in the pipeline. More to come on that. I'm dying to see that trailer. That trailer is gonna really tell us something about this movie.
Yeah,
for sure it's a teaser. That doesn't count, And because I watch it, if I watch it, the first one, knowing the second one, which I'm gonna watch, it doesn't count. Because I do one trailer and I'm done. Right. This was a teaser, so I'm gonna see that first trailer.
Same thing with the Fantastic Four. That technically was a teaser.
That was a teaser, so I will be watching the next trailer for that one.
Right.
So for that much. Although that was more than a teaser, but that's okay. I'm allowing it. They call it a teaser. I'm gonna go what they said.
Yeah.
But I believe it.
I'll believe the lie you told me.
I was like, sure. Okay. I'll play along. But that's the one I think. With that trailer, that we'll see if we're gonna hate or not in that trailer. That's gonna be the
right.
And that doesn't mean the trailer could be great. Doesn't mean it's a good movie, or vice versa. It could be a bad trailer and the movie be great. But now this is the one we're gonna see the hate or the love.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I see his hairs are moving and he's flying. Oh my God, it's gonna be a fucking nightmare. We're just begging to pick on the nerd, man. God, we're the worst. We are the worst.
We are our own worst enemies. But absolutely.
We really are. But I'm thinking that can unite us now is that Kathleen Kennedy ready to pop this bottle as soon as the show's over. Very excited. Get the hell out of here. When that's said, we're gonna get the hell out of here because those are the nuggets for the week.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the love support you always give us. Don't forget to go to Don't forget to go to Nerdsplaining at the Latin Network here on YouTube. You can watch all the shows like the Watch List, like Dennis' Choice, and of course Nerdsplaining all over here. Don't forget we have other websites to go to as well, like Nerdsplaining, like the Danger Squad, my comic book. You can check it out. You can go to ASAP Imagination. You can go on Kindle now. Danger Squad is officially available on Kindle, so you can get your own copy there as well. We really appreciate that as well. Don't forget to follow us on ericdasilva.com, EricDasilva. Buy my album, Adorably Offensive. More comedy stuff coming up. I'm going to be in Central Florida in the first weekend of March, so if you're there, hit me up. I'm going to be in a couple of the places in Atlanta in April and back in Florida in May, and I'm doing a little more traveling, so keep those dates open for as well. I'll let you guys know what's going on. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know what you thought about Spider-Man, what you think about what you heard about Kathleen Kennedy leaving. Let us know what you think about the Daredevil reviews. Let us know what you thought about Friendly New. But Spider-Man, we want to hear all the stuff you want to say. Guys, as always, I've been Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know. Boom.